It's the 8th one. So
Have you
hot
been for the
off.
first one?
No, so this is
Oh.
my fourth or fifth
Mhm.
year. Winter Strong 8's presented by Soren X. They're an exercise company out of Lexington, South Carolina. They provide most of the training equipment for, I would say, a lot of Division I football teams
Okay.
and a lot of pro sports teams. And then, you have your high-end clients and whatever else. And they make really dope, heavy duty. I say modular is probably the wrong word, but basically they make things to conform to weight rooms and small spaces, large spaces, to make it as efficient as possible. Because if you think about D1 football, or I don't know if you know this, or D1 athletics,
Mhm.
you're only allowed to spend so much time with the athlete. Yeah, so imagine you have, 100 dudes and you got to run them through all these exercises. So now you have it programmed. So like as you move down stations, the stations are ready and they're prepped, so you don't have to spend all this time doing switching and flip-flopping and everything else. So you can run guys through just like a well-oiled machine.
Like
And so
conveyor belt,
that's
basically.
yeah. And so they're really good at that. But they also do this thing, Winter Strong, which they do annually, is basically outdoorsmen and strength and conditioning world guys get together and kind of chat and party and exchange tips and knowledge. Think of it as like, this is what my buddy said when we were there, the most advanced summer camp of all time.
For grown-ups with money.
For grown-ups and guys who are we'll call them successful and ultra
Yeah,
successful in whatever
yeah,
field they are. So there's
yeah.
businessmen who are killing it. They're Olympians, football players, some I said Olympians already, some special operations guys, and just dudes who are just and women who are operating at a high level, man. Some really dope knife makers. And so then they have these stations when you're out there, like you can learn about whitetail hunting, you can learn about strength conditioning for hunting, you can learn about knife making, you can go shoot pistols, you can do
Mhm.
archery.
Sounds like a
Um,
great networking event, basically.
it is. It's a great networking event. But man, like, and this will sound hokey, but I don't mean it that way. Like, it's a great I want new friends in my life event.
Got it. Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's one of those, especially for people who I think are go-getters or maybe doers, the right word, right? You want more doers in your life and more people who, like, when you bring up the crazy thing, instead of going like, that's crazy, they go, how do we get there?
Yeah.
Right?
And, I definitely say yes a lot. You messaged me like, "Yeah, let's just do this," because I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like I gave you the game plan that I was trying to figure all this back end stuff out so that I can automate it so that I can just focus on this side of it for fun, right?
Hmm.
And you messaged at the perfect time because I've been trying to get Sean like, "Hey, let's do this," and I just kept on calling them unscripted conversations. That's what that was. So,
Yeah.
and that was what me and Sean were doing for fun, and I definitely want him to come on because, like I've told you, and I've told him many times, my knowledge of Christianity was movies. I had no idea about anything
Yeah,
about it,
yeah.
right? And then his knowledge of Hinduism is not as in depth either. So we're just exchanging different thoughts and different things. I find the conversations fun because
Yeah.
like Hinduism is like a philosophy, a way of life kind of thing, or it can be approached like a religion, however way you want to do it. So whenever I hear the different quotes and different things, I enjoy them. So yeah, doesn't matter
Yeah.
where it's from in the world.
I mean, I think that's, one of the things that you and I ultimately kind of dig is just the ability to find wisdom in things or cool stuff or
Yeah.
things that make things a little bit better and sometimes sharper. And Sean is awesome. Like I have a lot of conversations with him, probably not as many as I need, but every now and then, like, I hop on the phone with him and talk. And I told him that I wanted him to come on too. So we're in agreement there. We'll get him on here as soon as we can figure out his schedule.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it shouldn't be too hard, like, because I want him to talk about his not-for-profit more. Because
yeah, yeah.
we were talking, like, every single day. I had no idea he was doing this because we're just shooting the shit all the time, right? You know, it is like, you you're having so much fun in conversation, there's no gap in the conversation for the other things going on in your life because 'cause you're having a good time. And then it came up, I'm like, "Well, you were supposed to tell me about this because I wouldn't even have guessed this." So
Well, it's funny, man. It's the thing with men sometimes. Like we get so caught up, and I've heard this from numerous women, including my mother, like, we get so caught up in whatever we're talking about that we don't exchange the normal, like, details. Like, one of my best friends, been best friends since fucking 2003, 2004. Like, we went to war together, we've done everything, man, and, he lives near me, and then
Yeah,
we talk every day.
yeah,
Every day on the phone, we talk for at least 5, 10 minutes a day, and I called him one day, and he's like, "Oh, man, I need your help or something." I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I'm moving on Saturday." And I'm like, "You're what?" He's like, "Yo, I'm moving on Saturday." And I'm like, "Where are you moving to?" And he's like, "To another state." And I was like, "We talk every day, and you didn't tell me this." And he's like, "Yeah, man, I just forgot." And I just laughed my ass off about it
yeah,
because I was like, "This is so consistent
yeah,
with how we operate," because it's
yeah,
like, that's not important. What's important is the conversation at hand or the things that
yeah,
we're doing, and that's
yeah.
such an afterthought because it's like, "Oh, I'll just drive down there. That's
Well,
easy."
you know what the thing is? Also, I think guys look at each thing you're doing as just a thing. There's no hierarchy really on the thing you're doing a lot of times because, like, for me, everything I'm doing, I'm interested in.
Mhm.
Even if to you, you're like, "Oh, you might that's dumb," or whatever. But, like,
Yeah.
for me, it's equal interest across everything, and it's hard for me to choose what to do. So when I'm in one thing, I'm in one thing, right?
Yeah. I
So,
get that. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think I have a hierarchy, but I think the thing is like, one, I try to be as present as possible when I'm doing these things, but also it's this, yeah, this idea that just some of this, at least for me, some of it is so inherent, I skip it. Right. And I talk about this all the time with teaching, like when I used to teach jujitsu or whatever. And it's like you forget to tell the guy, like, you grab like this and not like this. Right. Because for you, you just do it. And so then when you talk about it and you just do the movement, the guy goes, "Well, how'd you grab that?" And you got to go, "Oh, wait, how did I grab that?"
Yeah, because you're on
You know,
autopilot.
yeah, you're on all. And so I think so much of my life works in that fashion that, like, if you don't stop me and go, "Hey, man, what was that?" I'll be like, "Oh," because I am like, I had to tell my daughter-in-law this weekend, because I was off, like, staring into space and whatever, and she was looking at me, and she's like she asked my son, she's like, "Is he okay?" And it's like, "Yeah," and "Yeah, I was like, "I'm literally writing in my head right now, and I just don't have a pen. I don't have access to a pen." I was like, "So I am going over, like, things I wanna think about and write about,"
Yeah.
and so all this
Have you done
other
voice
stuff.
notes? Have you used voice
Yeah,
notes
I
at all?
use
'Cause
voice notes
okay,
sometimes
it was
too.
crazy, yeah.
I mainly use notes, and I mainly, I carry around a million little journals.
Yeah. Well, for me, like,
They're e
sometimes I can't write as fast as I think, so I have an
Oh,
app
yeah.
that records my voice, but transcribes it afterwards for me.
Oh, so it's funny you said that. What I've been doing recently is I take just a video. It doesn't matter where the video is pointing. I
Oh, yep,
most
yep,
of the
yep,
time, it's not even pointing at me, and I just start talking. And then there's an app called Fox Notes, and I think you
mhm.
pay $20 a month for it. I mean, it's probably cheaper than that, I don't know. And, it transcribes your videos, and that
Just so
is
you
how
know,
I've done.
if you wanna do it for free, Substack will transcribe it for you, YouTube will transcribe it for you, free.
Yeah?
Yeah, just
Noted.
so you know.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems faster, but I do know now that
Yeah,
you said that, it makes sense, but
yeah. Because you
YouTube
can
seems
record
like
live on YouTube, right? And you can just record to
mm.
your
Yeah,
account.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
now that you said it, I was like, I know better. I know that.
Yeah. No,
But
but, the reason why I brought that up is because, like, what we're doing here and what you're doing, if you're just recording live and yes, right now you're not looking at the screen, but if you just got in the habit of looking at the screen when you did it, you just made a piece of content, by accident.
yeah, so don't get it wrong. Like
Okay.
I've used some of these, especially when I had my truck mount before I broke it. I broke my
Yes.
truck mount for my phone.
Yeah.
Um, some of those talking head videos or whatever you want to call what I do when I'm in the car, that's exactly what they were. They were me
Oh,
writing.
nice.
I was
Okay.
writing something, or more likely I'm working through something in my head,
Yeah.
right?
I do that.
Like the
You've got
one
me
where
back in the Substack, just so you know, because I'd put it on pause for a bit, and
mm,
because we're talking again, you've got me back into, like, writing on Substack again, and then where I
good,
was just, like, doing blog posts like I used to do. So,
good.
I needed a little bit of a nudge because I got so caught up in the back end stuff and the nerdy
Yeah.
stuff that yeah.
I'm stockpiling right now, just to be completely honest. Yeah, I've got like 40 things all saved, ready to go,
Ooh,
and
nice.
I'm trying to get enough of a buffer that so I can produce something every week.
So schedule it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My goal is to produce two pieces of two writing pieces a week. Plus, I want to do this thing called Five for Friday. I've talked about this before, where I just talk about 5 things that I think are dope. I think you should have it in your life, whether it's a recipe, music, movies, um, gear, this little
Hmm.
thing, right? I
What's
think
that?
this little, it's a
Oh,
brick. It's called
brick.
a brick.
I've seen
Yeah.
those. Does it work really well?
I like it. I enjoy it because, right, as a guy who finds himself down many rabbit holes chasing
Hmm.
information, including when I'm writing, it's a way for me to control things. And then also for like training. So I've got it set up right now for 4 different modes. I have
Hmm.
it where I made it for training. So I don't have access to anything but um, videos basically and music. So
Hmm.
I can take video and I can listen to music when I'm training and I can write my notes or whatever. And that's about it. And then writing mode, it's pretty much shut down minus text
Just
messages.
one thing for the video quality, it's focusing only on your mic, not you. So you are
It's
blurry.
what it is. It's me. I'm too far away.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's
Just
all.
like
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I thought maybe it's like zooming on the mic and not you. That's what I
No,
thought was
no.
going on. Okay.
So I screwed. I wasn't going to say this on there. I screwed my shoulder up sleeping this weekend, and so I am uncomfortable right now. And so I'm trying to figure out all the different ways to like
Yeah.
fix myself.
Okay.
But no, it's fine. I can be like this. But no, man, so the idea is just like 5 things that I find that are really cool. And I talk about whether it's like writing, an actual article, music, movies, and send it out as a newsletter, but also kind of make a piece of content and something on Substack with it because I don't know, I enjoy it, man. Like James Clear, Tim Ferriss, and Chris Williamson's emails are the 3 emails I look forward to every week, which is weird to
Really?
say, right? In 2026, like I look forward to emails. Like, who does that? But I
Everything
do,
comes
man.
full circle, right? So
Well, I think curation is a real cool or a real key to like, I don't want to say happiness, but just like being in the things you like, right?
it's with
You
the
can
noise
just
for
be,
sure.
yeah, exactly. That's the main part. Like you can just sit around and wait for stuff to find you, or you can just make sure it finds you every Thursday, Friday, and Monday, you know?
Yeah.
So
Well, so
that's the goal.
since we're talking about like things like that, have you heard of this? So I'm like deep into the AI stuff because I wanted to learn AI automation to make my own marketing machine, right? So I built version 1, and now there's something called Clawbot, which the name changed to OpenBot.
Mhm,
So somebody created an open source code where it basically, so you should never install this on your computer. Okay, you
mhm,
install it on a separate computer so it's gapped from your stuff.
mhm,
But it's AI that basically takes over the whole system, and then it
mhm,
has access through APIs to whichever LLM you want, whether it
mhm.
is OpenAI, whether it is Claude, whatever you want, and it will be your virtual assistant. It'll like go on websites, it'll log in for you, it'll do all the work for you, edit videos for you, it'll do everything for you. So my goal is to start this week, and I'm going to actually build it on a virtual private system online, so I don't have to buy a system. And I'm going to try to build my own AI assistant, which then I'm going to try to leverage for us on this for fun. And which is why I was like looking at Descript and all these other things. So whatever gives us the backend access,
Yeah,
uh, that way we could maybe have some fun with it and have our own virtual assistant for free, basically.
I like that idea. I've actually been
Yeah.
playing with the virtual assistant idea for a little bit. Um, I let it fall through because I first I did it. George, I can't think of George's last name. Matt's buddy in Montana.
Hmm.
Um, big time marketing guy. He's the first person to tell me about, hey man, get a virtual assistant. And then I read about a 4-hour work week and played around with it a little bit with Chat GPT.
Hmm.
But I kind of abandoned ship just because I was also going through a lull as far as how complicated my life was at the time. And so I was like, I don't need you right now. But now that it's getting
Yeah.
complicated again, I definitely am. more interested in making that happen.
I think there's something in that what you just said that's to be talked about though.
Was that?
Like when there's not much going on, when things are going good is the best time to plan for when things are bad. And I'm not
Oh
saying
yeah.
I'm not gonna let me take the word bad back because that's not what I'm trying to say. Because
No, I get what you're
when
saying.
you're busy, then you don't have the time to implement the things that you would like there available to you when you're busy. Not bad.
Yeah,
I
a
want to yeah,
thousand
okay.
percent. I mean, that's
Yeah.
my idea typically when I'm talking to people and they're like, well, I don't have time to work out. I don't have this. I don't have that. I said, well, if you can do it now when you're the most busy, you'll be fine.
And you know what's funny? When I talk to people, because I used to train people for fun, fitness wise, but a lot of people come to me for advice when it comes to how to invest in stuff now because of real estate and stuff like that, right? And then, so it's exact same approach for that. When you are hustling, you don't know where to put the money. But when you're not busy, research where to put the money so that when you're hustling and you have the money in your pocket, you know where to put it without thinking,
Makes sense. Yeah, I like that. I
right?
like that a lot. Yeah.
Because I have this one, and this is me and Sean go back and forth on this a lot, and I bring this up all the time. Like a lot of these people that we've met want to change their lives, right? So they're working towards change your lives. I'm like, okay, the home run is that you change your life in 5 years and you're doing something else, something different right there, right? But let's say while you're working towards that, because I think about investing your money so it works when you're sleeping, why don't you do that as well so that if you're in this 30-year career, you can retire in 29 years now. You can retire in 27 years. So worst case scenario, you shorten the thing that you don't want to do no matter what. And you're still working towards a thing. And that's the one discussion point that I think is missing a lot of times. And it's outside of the fitness realm. It's outside of that, but the conversation is the exact same conversation.
I mean, oh man.
You understand what I'm
I
saying though?
no, I get what you're saying.
The
I
parallel?
think yeah, there's definitely a parallel there. I think the problem is and maybe it is the same, so maybe the parallel exists even further. It's like getting most people to think 30 years down the road, especially in the face of, we'll just call it economic uncertainty, this, that, and a third, whatever, is hard. And it's the same thing for like fitness, right? Like one of the things that we were talking about at Winter Strong with a buddy of mine about being a 44-year-old guy who has stayed in shape is that I didn't realize how much, I'll say, land for better way, I was purchasing as far as like how easy I'm making my life for fitness. Meaning like because I've gotten so fit down, I can cheat a lot more. I can get away with bullshit. I can whatever. And I think it's the same thing what you're saying, but it's the idea that you're talking about financial stuff, right? And so it's also funny because I have a client, a very young dude, who I told him, I said, hey man, listen, two things that I know to be true. If you set yourself up financially and physically, and you turn into your 40s while you're also working on this and this, right? So your head and your heart, life becomes really fucking cool. I was like, because what typically happens is you get to your 40s, and I'm not 50, so I don't know, but I even imagine guys in their 50 and they're working on money or their head and their heart or their physicality or all of them. When it's like you could just work on this, or you could get here and just be like, what up though? Let's dream. Right. And so I, no, go ahead. And so I just think that that's apropos. It makes sense to me, but I also think you have to like I'm extremely risk averse. So I didn't become financially, we'll call it
Literate?
responsible. No, I was literate early. I just didn't give a fuck.
Oh, okay. 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 I wanted to ask because some people they aren't and that's a good thing to bring up
Yeah.
because some people are literate and
Yeah.
they're risk adverse, but if they looked at you, they
Mhm.
won't know that.
Yeah. So no, so I'm financially literate. I mean, I definitely have my limits, right? And so I talk to people, like I got a couple of buddies who are in like high wealth creation and wealth whatever for people. And so I go to them for questions and everything else. But like put it like this. So this is my first year having a tax strategy.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I'm at. But, like, before this, I was so risk averse that, or not risk averse, I'm the opposite. I'm risky,
Mhm.
right? So, I'm sorry, I am not risk averse at all in almost anything.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah,
using the wrong
yeah.
language.
Okay.
Um, and so I just didn't care, right? Because as a soldier, as a young soldier, and I'm not saying that all soldiers feel this way, but me personally, I was like, I'm not gonna be here. Who cares?
No, that's a lot of soldiers.
Yeah,
There's a
you
lot of
know,
people that think like that because,
yep.
so I'm gonna relate this to health because investing is the same. Health and money, the same thing. One quote, and I think it might be Buddhist, but I'm not even sure. At this point, it sounds Buddhist to me. When's the best time to plant a tree?
Well,
50
yeah,
years ago,
yeah.
30 years ago. Well, the next best time, now. So it's one of those things like fitness, like you said, you bought a lot of land, you bought a lot of leeway, you bought a lot of runway, right?
Mhm,
So that was 30 years ago, or whatever timeline, right? So you can be a little bit whatever with it. I used to work out all the time, and now I'm still working out, but I'm focusing on just getting out of pain. So
mhm.
still fitness, but not the fun stuff that I want to do.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
still in that trajectory, but because I did that back then, even though I'm in pain all the time, I'm lifting couches and stuff in pain, but other people couldn't do that either. So there's a lot of leeway with what I'm doing as well. I might be tired afterwards, but I'm able to. But same thing with investing. If I didn't take the risk on some real estate plays and some of their investments, all while going through this PTSD, I wouldn't have had the extra 50K to go into other type of modalities to work on the PTSD that wasn't available to me being covered, or the physical therapy that wasn't available through my benefits. So I just could pay it out of my pocket, right? So that like you said, for that person you're talking to, if you plant whatever seeds you plant in the future, they will benefit you later on because there might be a speed bump, and then you'll be like, right?
I mean, I think this in general, right? That's the beauty of planning, if we're really being honest, no matter what you're talking about, right? The beauty of planning and planning in layers and is the ability to pivot and adapt so things aren't always so crazy, right? But I find it's kind of like people who are rigid, they're like, oh, I got to hold on to my plan. And it's like, brother, like in your plan, you should have, like for the military, and I've talked about it before, like they have a thing called the PACE plan, primary alternate
Okay.
contingent emergency. And
You did
technically it's
mention
for,
that before, yeah.
yeah, yeah, technically it's for communications, but like you can use it
Hmm.
for everything, right? I'm going to
Yeah.
have a primary route, an alternate route, a contingency route, an emergency route. I can have this for, if we get to this place and this thing goes wrong, I have my actions, right?
It's
And
interesting that you said that. Remember I told you I kind of my how I plan for the future is like a rolling 24.
mhm,
And I've had this talk with Josh before. I'm like, whatever my plan is, when I'm doing something and let's say I check the first box off, I remap my next 24 right from that point. I don't wait. It's
mm,
rolling 24 always, so it never stops,
yeah.
right? I found 1 year was too short. I found half a year was way too short, and I found 10 years out was a little too long. And I would just have the long term goal at the 10-year mark, but the rolling 24, because when I did that, I found I got a lot more shit done. And the other thing you said, which was you're in the army, so you thought you're not going to be here. A lot of people that are very unhealthy have the same mentality because they haven't seen somebody in their family or come from a family that's very unhealthy. They haven't seen somebody in their family that lives past 40, 50 years old. So,
Yeah. Or people, this is what I think is more the case, man. Most people are so, I don't know the proper word. It's not present because they're not, but they are not, they can't see 5 years from now. But it's not because there's like they're zenned out present, right? They're just lost in whatever Netflix.
can't or won't.
Yeah, both.
Okay.
Both, because it's like talking to somebody and you ask them to plan for 5 years and they'll tell you something crazy, but then you'll watch them and nothing about that 5 year plan ever gets enacted. And if you really sit down and start talking to them, what you find is like there is no direness because they don't know that they're going to die. They don't know that this ends. They just are operating in the sense of like, I come home today, I watch Netflix. I go to bed, I wake up. This is never going to end. That's how they act, you know. And then like something scares them is typically what happens, and then they get, you know, oh my god, I got to act. I have to do something, and that might last 4 weeks,
Mhm.
right? And so that's my personal view from watching and coaching and seeing people is how many people do not take time seriously,
Mhm. How
and so
how
they
do
don't.
you, how do you approach when people come to you and, they say they have this arbitrary goal that's somewhere out in the future with, like, in the fog that nobody knows when? How do
Mhm.
you break it down for them? Because my approach has always been, "Okay, what's this goal? I don't care about what's the end point? What's the end goal? Okay. What's the 50-point mark? Okay. What's the 25-point mark?" And that's why I just break it down until it's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, do you how," and I get smaller and smaller till the goal is so small that they'll trip over it.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's essentially the same thing, but mine is more from a holistic standpoint, meaning like if you have 100 things on your plate, it's hard to juggle. So I start asking you, you know, so usually, so we'll just here, we'll do it live, right? Write down everything you want to do and accomplish in the next 1, 5, 10, 20 years, right? And we can change the dates. The times are irrelevant. And so they do that and they come back and they have this gigantic fucking list, right? Because I tell them, don't take anything off the list. If you want to ride a tiger, ride a tiger. If you want to go to NASA and be on the next thing smoking, cool. So once all those things are on the list, we're going to do two things. We're going to rank order them in two different ways. We're going to order them in time, and we're going to order them in importance. Ones you can't live without, ones you know, whatever. And then how close are you to finishing them? Right. And so then we're going to start crossing things off. But we're also going to look at, as a tertiary thing, we're going to look at how many things are on that list that have been on that list that you've never attacked once. You haven't even
Mhm.
looked it up.
Yeah.
Right. And if it's on the list, it's been on the list for longer than 2 years and you haven't done a single thing towards it, it's got to come off the list. It doesn't mean it's got to go away forever, but it's got to come off the list for now. Right. If it's something that you cannot attack because you are financially insolvent or you just not aren't there, it's got to come off the list. Right.
Yeah, basically, what are you capable of, what are you not capable of, yeah,
Yep. And then
currently.
and then we redo the list and then we get it down and then what we try to do is focus on 5 to 10 things, preferably not in the same category. Right. And the categories being like, and we can change them, but typically to make it easy for most people, we'll go fitness, mental health, relationships, business. And business would encompass money, right? Because some people don't have businesses, so it's just money. And so we put them in those 4 buckets, and then we start looking at it like how we can do things and how we can interact with them. And then it's the same thing you're talking about. So now I break it down. We have process goals and you have outcome goals.
Mhm.
So process goal, 3 times a week, I'm going to lift weights. Right? Outcome goal out of the 3 times, I'm going to have a total volume of 1.5 tons.
Mhm.
The end. Good job.
Yeah.
Right?
Just have numbers, so it's basically SMART goals, right? That's
Yeah, it's
basically what
part of
these
SMART
are.
goals. Yep. So
Yeah, it's basically
typically
what it is, okay.
typically the thing that's different is so the long way, the other part of this that I'm not talking about right now, and this is what that thing I sent you, my thing I'm working on, is I like to ask people about their goals and then frame them in the sense of how much are you willing to purchase? Because and again, using physical fitness as a landmark for it. Guys will come to you and say they want to run a marathon. Then I go, oh, okay, cool. You want to run a 3-hour marathon? And they go, sure. And then I would lay out, what does that entail? You have to change your diet. Thursday and Friday now belong to Saturday because you have to prep Thursday and Friday for Saturday. Right. You have to go out and buy 3 new pairs of shoes. You have to invest in a recovery modality. You have to change your diet, all these things. Right.
Mhm.
Do you still want to purchase this thing? And they go, oh, that's a lot. I'm busy on Tuesdays. I still want to run a marathon, but maybe not 3 hours. So I go, oh, okay, what about a 4 hour? And they go, okay, well, what does that entail? Then you run it through them again. And they go, ooh, still a little too much. What can I get for 2 days a week? And maybe I'll eat better for the first 4 weeks of my training. And I said, oh, okay, you want a 5 hour, 5.5 hour marathon. Cool. We're going to give you a long run on Saturday. We're going to give you a threshold run on Tuesday. I need you to eat berries, a couple berries before you eat any other food, all 5 days or 5 days, Monday through Friday. and make sure you're hydrated, right? Boom, off to the races. And
Okay.
so, yeah.
Yeah, your approach is very similar to when I talk to people. I just I don't have it so structured because usually the conversation gets adapted to the person. But that makes a lot of sense because again, when it comes to fitness, I don't really approach marathons because my approach is like, do you want to just be healthy or do you actually want to run the marathon? Right? Because I think a lot of people think getting to the marathon will mean that they're healthy overall, but sometimes when they have the goal, they don't know how to be fit without the goal.
Well, I mean, I think that's part of the conversation you have to have with people. But typically, just in the world that I'm dealing with, like we're not talking about health. We're talking about performance and success, right? Because, um, at least for me, I'm a believer that anything ultra competitive is not healthy, right?
Yeah,
When you're talking about physical fitness,
yeah,
like
and
there's
you're not
no
wording that in a negative light though.
no, it's no judgment on it.
Okay,
It's just
yeah,
not
okay, that's
healthy,
fine.
right?
Yeah, I
No, no,
agree with
no,
that.
no. It's just, like if you watch any of these pro athletes when they're done with their careers, they're trashed. We didn't do this for longevity. I didn't deadlift 700 pounds to make sure my hips are good for the rest of my life, right? Like that was the wrong approach if I did, right? I should be following somebody else's program. Um, so that's what I mean. And there's no judgment again. It's more, and a lot of the things that I do really are more about acceptance than it is about fighting it, right? Because I'm a firm believer, and I heard this, so I'm stealing it, but it is true. It's I think it's easier to accept the fact that you want a Ferrari than to rid yourself of the desire for the Ferrari, right? And that's how I feel about all things. Like it's easier to just be like, "Yo, I like fucking nachos. I'm going to eat nachos every day," instead of trying to be like, and make something more important. Because if nachos are that important to you, then like, okay, cool. Now, if they're not that important to you, then we have to be honest. And that's the thing is I think a lot of things are just about having an honest conversation with yourself about what you're willing to give up and what you can give up versus this whole like, you know, it's so hard. Instead of just being like, man, this is just what it costs. And
Yeah, and
you can't avoid the cost.
a lot of people, they maybe it's social media, movies, whatever. They get pitched this. You can have your cake and eat it too. I'm like, it's if you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, right? If you're saying no to something, you're saying yes to something else. So it's one of those things that people don't really realize when they make a choice. The flip side, a choice has been made from a. If we reword the question, a choice has been made on the flip side as well.
Mhm. Yeah. I have this little tagline I put on some of the posts, and it's like regret less. And that's
Hmm.
you just kind of nailed what it is, right? There's always something. When you make one
No,
choice,
there's always.
you have to go away from the other. And so my thing is like, I want to make the choices that make me regret less of the things I do in life when I get older or whatever it is. And it's also a twofold thing because it's also about how much I put into something, right? Because I find that the more I put into something, the more I really get after it. If it doesn't work out, like I don't have a lot of regrets. Whereas like when I half ass and I half step and I, you know, try and ease my way through and it doesn't work out, then I start questioning and I go, oh man, like what if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? Or, even in terms of relationships with friends are like, well, maybe I should call more. Maybe I should call less. Maybe I should do this, instead of just like, no, just go all out. Let's just press the gas, right? And the brake when appropriate. and and let's let things actually happen that way. At the end of it, you can go, hey man, did what I could. And that's for me. And so it ends up being a very much regret less thing because I don't want that feeling of like riding the fence. Because I think that's what a lot of people do is they ride the fence
Oh
of
yeah,
like,
I remember like in my 20s, in university, somebody I knew, she would always hum and haw, and whenever she gave me an answer, it was kind of like the most right in the middle. It was always right in the middle. Like, it was not going to be this way. I don't want to offend everybody. I'm like, well, then I don't know anything about you. Like, if we hang out and you don't actually tell me your choice or give me a straight answer, I don't really know you. Right? Where do you
Yeah, for
stand on
sure.
anything? Right? And
For sure.
I'm not saying it to stand on the same thing that I believe in, but if I don't know that you have these values because you're not willing to pick a side or pick a lane, then how do I get to know you how do you get close to somebody?
Well, I don't think you do. I
That's what I'm
also
trying to
think
say.
I also think some people are so interested in being people pleasers slash not offensive that they don't know
Mhm.
themselves, man. Or if they do know themselves, it's almost like there's a tiny bit of rage in there because they're like, I can't be me. And you, excuse me.
Mm.
And what it is like you know people don't know you for you, right? Because I'm always wearing some version of a mask.
Yeah, look, yeah, and when you can see the mask and yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I
Because
think most people who
all I'm saying that it's unfortunate because, like, it's just it would suck to always have to kind of hold yourself back. Not it might be nothing negative, just, like, hold yourself back because
I
you
completely
think,
agree.
yeah,
No, I completely agree. I
words
think
for it, but yes, I think you know what I'm feeling right now. I don't have the right
no,
words
yeah,
for it right now, so
it's the inability to be yourself,
yeah,
right? I think one of the best gifts you can have is to be you. If
yeah,
I can be myself at all times and be okay with it, like
mhm,
that's a superpower, man. Like people like you've seen this firsthand, like the amount of people that pay good money to basically ask for permission to be myself.
yeah,
Or the amount of people, and I'm not saying it's exclusive to only men, but I just know it from that standpoint. The amount of men that will back themselves into this corner in order to have a relationship. And I'm going to suppress all of these things and feelings and thoughts or things I like or whatever because I'm worried that the woman I love, if she finds out, and I'm not even talking about crazy shit,
no,
right?
no, yeah,
I'm talking about like dudes that collect like lightsabers or something, right? They like GoBots, right? There's a reference for you. There's a reference for you. Um,
uh, I
cheap
think,
ass
yeah,
Transformers.
I yeah. I think it's cool when you have something that you, like, nerd out about. I don't know.
I
I
do
always thought
too. I
that,
think, but that's
so me yeah.
that's my love of high agency though, and you too.
Yeah. Do you find when you talk to people that if you're one on one with them, you would never know that they hide it from somebody else? Because I find I run in a situation where I talk to people, I would never know until I run into them or they told me themselves that how I talk around you, how I'm around you, I don't share this side of me with anybody else. I find that happens a lot to me,
Uh, I think it happens a lot to me, but I just automatically assume it now that you say it,
right?
right? Like I just, um, and not because I think something, I mean, I do think highly of myself, but, 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 but
You get so interested in the moment that
yeah,
you get lost in it as well, right?
but it's like I, I've been around enough. Here, actually, this will work. So my buddy, Sean had a movie made about him this weekend or documentary, right? For Sornex, and it's called Thin Air.
Mhm,
You should watch
mhm.
it. It's really dope. Really, really
Where is it,
awesome.
first of all? Where
It's
will I
called
find it?
It's Thin Air on YouTube. On Sornex's web or Sornex YouTube page. And so when I walked up to him and I was telling him, I was like, "Hey, man, this is really dope, dude. Thank you." I was like, I got another gear from this. I really needed this. And we were talking and he was talking about it. And I was like, hey, I want to tell you something because somebody had to tell me. And he goes, what's that, man? And I'm like, you needed to see yourself how other people see you.
Mhm.
You need to see yourself for the person that people come up to and say X, Y, and Z to, or the person that people maybe never even say. what they're thinking, feeling, or knowing, right? And I had two friends specifically, who pulled me aside and were like, yo, you don't know this about yourself, but people watch you because of, your how you handle yourself, how you talk, how you speak, because your example shines, this, that, and the third, right? All
Mm-hmm.
things I never would have gave a shit about, all things I never would have considered or whatever else. But now when they say it, and now once you accept it, it's one of those things where, like, as situations happen, you go, oh, this makes sense now. Instead of being like,
Hey,
why the hell did this guy just come dump all his 20 years of baggage on me, right?
what age did that happen to you? I'm
In the
curious
last 5
because this has
years.
happened to me as well.
In the
Last
last
5
5
years?
years. Yeah.
Mine is actually last 5 years, maybe 7. Same.
Yeah. Yeah, well, definitely if I go, I mean, for me, everything 2018 forward is like me starting to be
Yeah,
this
for me, it's
version.
basically 2015, I was not mentally present or anything. I was just survival mode. But 2017 onward, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Like, that is, yeah. I mean, but that's and so I was telling him that because I think that there's a thing there where people, it's the same thing for why I like photography, right? And I'm not necessarily good enough at it to do this yet. I've done it a couple times, and it's really fucking dope when it happens, where you take somebody's picture and they see what you see,
Mm-hmm.
right? They get to see themselves for the first time. You're like, bro, you're cool. And then they see the picture and they go, oh, you know what I'm saying? And you can see it register in their face, and even though they
Yeah.
might not say it out loud, but it's like, yeah, man, you know, this is who you are. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but anyway, I just think that's a thing that more people need to have. And the reason why I'm saying it now is because of what you said. Like, so when people come up to me and they talk to me and they tell me these things, it registers easier. Not always, man. Like, I had one this weekend, um, and I'll put it like this. It is more gas in the tank for me when it happens, because I don't realize sometimes, like, we're having these conversations and these podcasts and these talks, and I'm saying these things because I mean them and they're true, and I need to hear them. I think somebody else
Mm-hmm.
needs to hear them. But
Mm-hmm.
then when you get the echo or the reflection, like, man, it hits, man. It hits hard. Like, oh shit, like, that matters.
Yep.
So,
You had it this week. I had 2 weeks ago, a guy who I was coaching just informally, just he kept on coming to me for advice. He was basically really good at online marketing and really good at Twitter. So I would pick his brain, he would pick my brain about stuff. And I lost touch, didn't lose touch with him. He's just been busy. I've been busy as well. And he just messaged me. He's like, I'm moving out of my parents' house. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I just realized that I need some space so the relationship's better and I can focus on the business. Like, he doesn't want to, he's maturing enough to see not letting it fall apart fully and just being angry all the time. And he's like, I'm going to move out. It's going to be hard. I'm not going to have the money that I like the freedom I have with money right now and all that stuff. But he's
uh-huh,
like, he's like, I had to message you about this. I'm like, this is good, man. And like, it's part of growth, right? Like,
uh-huh,
he's at that age where he can like he's Indian, so he has a family that always take care of him, always keep him at home for
uh-huh,
as long as he wants to be there. But he's making the choice on his own. He's actually he has an entrepreneurial spirit, and he's already has a business going that's growing in the right direction. And I think home being everything's covered for him, he's just too comfortable. So he doesn't push forward on the business side of things. He's like, oh, I have the safety and I don't need more money to get by. I don't need this. So I got him like, okay. I'm like, on every Zoom call, we were talking all the time, like, you're talking about all this stuff, but on every Zoom call, I look at the background of your room. It's in absolute disarray. I'm like, what you're going to start doing is every time we're hopping on these calls, that back is going to get better each time. He cleaned it up, painted it, made it a lot better, started working his bedroom. And like, okay, you have a relationship, right? Do you want that to survive? Yeah. Well, then talk to your girlfriend and you're going to schedule a date night every week. It's like, put it in the freaking calendar. Now that's blocked off. Like, I would block off the gym. You just block it off. It's something you do. And like simple things like that. And I always just thought like that because I'm like, if I want to do all the things I want to do in life, I just got to be good at time management. So I would just, because of shift work, I had a 24-hour calendar. So I had stuff blocked off at 2 in the morning because my sleep schedule was all a mess. So I would do 24-hour calendar. I ran that for like 10 plus years and got a lot done. But it's why everybody in my life didn't know I was ever busy.
I get it. I get it. I mean, I preach and harp on the calendar thing. I also, I think, but I also look at, I use that in multiple ways, and I think you should, right? Um, we were talking about it this weekend with the Montana vet program, and I was telling those guys, I was like, this is one of the ways in which I have tried to help vets with PTSD, and it's one of the things that helped me the most was like, as far as small, tangible, tactile, tactical things, and it is having a calendar that has active things on it and things for me to look forward to, but not just things for me to look forward to too, but things that require me to do something about it, right? Like if I'm gonna hike a mountain or up a 14er, I got to go walk at some point, right? I need to get off my ass and go walk. And then, in my opinion, and I know this isn't part of a lot of society today, your goals do not give a shit about your feelings, nor nor should they. And so, in pursuit of this goal to
Hmm.
walk a 14er, I got to walk 30 minutes a day. Whether I
Yeah.
feel good or whether I don't feel good, whether my goals, whatever, whether it's happy music, I have to go walk the 30 minutes every day or whatever the prescription is. And so it's one of the things I kind of work on with guys, man. It's like, here's your calendar. Like I just had a guy call me today. As a matter of fact, man, my best friend from elementary school calls me and says he's went from 312 pounds to 253.
Good for him.
No GLP-1s, no nothing, just getting after it. But one of the biggest things he said is from one of our phone calls was I sent him my article about how to manage a calendar. And he was like, this was the most helpful thing ever because he's a creative type. And I
Hmm.
think that a lot of guys who are creatives and musicians and whatever, they pull the whole like, I got to wait for the spirit to hit me. The feelings just got to come. Right. And then I told him, I said, or you could just schedule it. Right. You read The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield,
Yeah.
and he's got
Great,
a
great
line.
book.
Yeah, and he's got a line in there where he says, like, I used to wait for the muse to come visit me, and now it just happens that she visits me every day after at 9 after I sit down behind my typewriter. You think about some musicians throughout the world, it's like it really wasn't that the muse was just striking them. It was two different things. They were either in position or that was their only position.
Yeah. And another side of it is like the calendar is still useful. Let's say you're creative, because a few friends of mine are very creative, and they use that as an excuse to like always have their life in disarray because they're like, I need that stress, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
that's what I
okay,
mean.
you can stress yourself out by overbooking your calendar of all the things you need to get done, and then when that inspiration hits, at that point, since you already live a life where you disregard all these things, stop what you're doing, go do the inspiration, go back to your calendar right after. Like, there's many ways to use the calendar is what I'm trying to
Yeah, well, the first thing
say.
the first thing I always talk about is with like, you're going to build your calendar for white space first, free space
Yes.
first, free time first, right? And whether that free time is 15 minutes, an hour, like depending on how crazy your life is, that's what it is. But that's the first thing you build every day, because if not, you'll have none, especially if you're one of these, grinders, right? What you'll do is you'll look at your calendar and you'll see that there's white space, and you'll take the space from Tuesday and put it on Monday. And you do it every day, and the next thing you know, you never have free time, and so, but if the calendar is treated as it should be, then you just be like, oh, here's my 30 minutes of whatever I want, intentional. So that's how I kind of work it, but I get it. That's cool.
It's just how it works for everybody. 'Cause, like, mine is a little different. At first, I used to have everything scheduled. Now I have the same topics that I want to cover in the day as blocked off in my calendar, but they're blocked off so that if I look at the calendar visually, it's blocked off, but it's set up as free time. So it's just one of those things that on my phone, it pops up that, oh, you should be doing this. Or, so it's just on my mind, because my ADHD will be like, forget about it completely. So now it's
Yeah,
more like it just pops up at different times of the day. Oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. So it's more
yeah,
like a daily, but it's the time is actually free. So if anything gets booked into it, it goes over top of the calendar. How I set
yeah.
it up. So
Well, that's what I
yeah,
mean. Yeah, it's like your free time is a part of your calendar, right? Everything is blocked off. It's not free time as in it's just
and
empty. Like your free time is a block that you will follow,
yes,
right?
and like people have to remember, like just where you work is not the most important thing all the time. It's like some of the dreams, the passions you want to go for, like you want to do, you got to put in your calendar and prioritize it like a job that pays you, because you're not skipping the job. Like how many people you know, like, oh, I'm sick, but I'm still going to go to work, but
Well, yeah,
but I won't go to
yeah.
the gym,
Well, I think
or I'm
that's a
sick, so
measure.
I won't cook a nice meal, or a
That's a
healthy
measure
meal.
of how much you want something. Sometimes it's a measure of like, um, which is probably more accurate, how much you want perfect conditions,
Yes. So
right? I think.
that's the perfectionist argument again.
Well, I won't even. I mean, yes, you know how I feel. We feel the same about the
Well,
perfectionist people,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
think it's not even that. It's just this thing where people have this ideal standard that like one of the things I was doing when I was writing workout programs for people for a while is I would write the whole program out and then I would highlight like 3 or 4 exercises and I'd be like, this is mandatory.
Hmm.
If you can get this done, you're good. Anything after there is just extra.
Hmm.
Right? Because it was very much in that model of like, I know you feel like you have to be all or nothing, but I just need you to get this done. Right? Because so many people I find, especially with training, with following their dreams or their passions, or the 30 minutes they have every night to research an article or whatever the thing is, they'll put it off because it's not perfect. Right? Like it's I hear guys like, well, I don't want to listen to the podcast because not our podcast, but just like Rogan because it's so long. Like it's so long, I don't want to listen to it. I'm like, there's a pause button and a rewind.
That's
Like it's
funny.
not 1983.
You know what,
Like
this same argument, that when people are like, oh, we should hop on the phone call together when you're free. I'm like, you do know I have voicemail. I can call
yeah,
you back, right?
yeah,
Like we all have computers in our hand. It's not like I have a phone on the wall anymore. Like there's if you have a question, you ask, right? Like
yeah,
that's what I do with Sean. That's what I do with a bunch of people. If I have a question, I'm like, oh, well, give me an answer, right? If I, because like I'm the type of person to get hyper focused on things, and I will disappear. And when I'm hyper focused, and especially wintertime, I'm a hermit. I hate the cold. I don't want to go outside. If I could stay home and not go outside, I'll avoid it. So, yeah,
I get that. I get that. That's I'm the cold in me and outside is no purpose, no outside.
yeah. And
If
since
there's a
again, like, yeah,
if there's a purpose, I'll be outside. Like I was outside all weekend for Winter Strong. Didn't bother
mhm.
me. I mean, until the end. but but as long as there's a purpose, who cares?
That's a huge thing, and I guess a lot of people don't think that the things they're interested in have value in personal purpose or something like that. That doesn't sound very put together there, but
No, it's all good. Um, so hit me with what you had as far as like notes this week. You were telling me about some things, and I know
I had to
I didn't get
find it.
to
Give me
them.
a second.
Yeah, I'm going through mine right now as
Uh,
well.
there you
Here's an
go.
interesting thing about
Yeah.
nothing that I found. This is actually from Sources of Power, Gary Klein. It's about experts, subject matter experts, and this is a little excerpt I thought was interesting. It says,
Hmm.
seeing what others can't see, experts see the world differently. They see things the rest of us cannot. often experts do not realize that the rest of us are unable to detect what seems obvious to them. And I thought that was interesting in context of like all the things that are happening in the world. And I'm not talking about politics, but just all the things that are
Yeah.
happening in the world and the amount of people who, when two ways, right? Who, when talking to an expert, they can't understand them, or the expert doesn't know how to say the thing in a way that everyone can understand.
Mm-hmm.
So
Make it relatable.
like peak Dunning-Kruger, right? like peak Dunning-Kruger effect. Like most of us are on the front end, even when we think we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you go down the back end, you start to realize like, oh my God, I don't know anything at all.
Yeah.
And then you get to the
And it's
back end.
funny that you said this, because like just this weekend, going to the basketball game, my buddy Jordy and his wife were talking, and I'm like, because I like reading scientific papers and things like that. And then there's a lot of people that are like, oh, is there a study for it? Then I'll trust it. But I'm like, I went to school for biochem, and I was going to go that route to potentially work in labs and stuff like that, but I just didn't have any interest of being stuck indoors.
Yeah.
So, but I still kept up with reading everything. And a lot of people, especially recently, and I think it's obviously because of the climate in the world, where like, oh, is there a study for it? Then I'll believe it. But like, studies start from anecdotal evidence, right? Because that an anecdotal evidence is what will result in a study. You need a study for FDA approval, but studies aren't actually required for things to be true, because people will always be like, where's the study for it? Where's the study for it? Like, people are so into the idea that there needs to be a study that they will ignore the truth that's in front of them.
I mean, I hate doing this because it makes me a giant meathead, which I am, but it's fine. The bodybuilding world is like this, right? The
Yeah.
bodybuilding world
No.
gets into
So,
stuff, supplements, and all the things way before everybody else. And they say this works, and people go, there's no study for it. And then the guy goes, well, I'm jacked as hell, and I've been jacked as hell for 32 years, so I don't need a study. And then somebody goes, well, I need a study. And this guy's like, so yeah, I completely get what you're saying. I think,
but it goes even beyond just the bodybuilding world, is what I mean.
oh
It's
yeah,
like,
for sure. I'm just
it
giving
goes
an
into
anecdote.
everything. Like, even if it's like financial, if there's a financial study, like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, this person is not a person that you know personally that wrote something. He's still a human being that might be just as smart, just as dumb as you,
Mhm.
wrote this paper. But I'll trust this person that I can't talk to personally about it because it's on black and white paper, so it's true.
Well, there's an idea. It's funny. I just read about this. There's an
Hmm.
idea that you can look at levels of intelligence based on your ability to. So basically, the more dumb the person, the more they rely on anecdote. They can't look outside of anything other than personal anecdote, right? And so I think what part of that is you look at, and this is just me firing from the hip, is like you look at yourself and those around you, and you're like, we ain't that bright. We ain't that bright. So I need something with some teeth behind it to tell me what to do and say.
So, you know what? I'll relate it to another topic that we've talked about, Seneca. Okay. Were there the modern technologies back then and studies that were done for anything that he wrote, or was he just writing things that he observed and we are reading it now? It's basically what he's saying is anecdotal evidence.
Oh, I mean, I agree. You're not getting an argument out of me,
Yeah, yeah.
man.
No, no, but what I'm trying to say is, like, people will say in modern times it has to be studies, but then they'll refer to a Stoic quote.
Yeah,
They'll
yeah.
refer to this,
So what I
and they're
think it
speaking of
is,
both sides of their mouth.
I think, well, I think people have this false reverence for old things.
Totally.
I think people have a false reverence for old things, and then I think people can't see the goodness of people today because they're being told that everything's wrong, right? And I'm not here to argue it. I'm not here to whatever. I'm just simply
No.
saying, like, if you listen to people today, food is bad, this is bad, medicine's bad, this is bad. It's all they can say. But the guy who wrote it in 1632, when we had a life expectancy of 37, like, man, like he knew. But you can also go to somewhere else where they're not plagued by the misadventures of now, meaning like ready-made popcorn, ready-made this, instant coffee, instant email, instant message, and you see these same whys things come up. But what it all, again, I think all it actually is for a lot of times and a lot of people is like, you spent time with yourself, you spent time with your thoughts, you spent time with the world, you spent time actually considering things instead of just whatever. And I'm a guy who likes to act, man, so I get it. But if I had it my way now, especially at, the ripe old age of 43,
Mhm.
I would tell you I would spend an hour or two of my day just thinking, and then I would do. You
Another thing is
know,
like, because you talk about your father a lot, right?
yeah.
So the advice he gave you,
Mhm.
was it from a study or was it from his life?
Oh, hell no.
This- So you know what I'm getting at? Like, and a lot of times like people come to you, me, friends for advice. I'm like, have you thought about asking your parents or somebody that's older in your family? Just like they've probably been through some shit and might have something to say that has no scientific backing, no nothing. But
Well,
it
again,
is
I think
fact.
it's just one of those things. Like, sometimes you look at the people around you, even if they're successful or even if they're whatever, and you can't see them for what they are. Because it's your little brother, it's your sister, it's your whatever, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. Right. And so even if they have good ideas or good sound judgment and they make whatever, they can't, like, man, like,
I think because I
I
love
have family
discussion.
members who still think of me as
Yeah,
15 years old.
totally.
You know what I mean?
You'll
Even
always be your
though,
mother's baby. So
you know, well, not even my mom. Like, it's funny because, like, even recently, like, finally after 43 years, like, I had a conversation with my mom and dad, and I finally saw it in them when they were like, this ain't a kid, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was very interesting. But there's other conversations I had with other family members, and you can see it, and you're like, oh, you don't realize I have all your answers because all you see is the 15-year-old wearing a Wu-Tang shirt, right? That's what you see in your head,
yeah,
right? You don't see the dude who's done the stuff and things and helped
they
the
don't even notice
people.
the gray hair in your
No.
beard.
They
No,
just notice whatever. And I think that's just what something is, man. I think a lot of people have a hard time with that, especially with their, so they clutch to studies. And here's the other thing too, man. It just, sometimes people are clutching at this stuff because it's just another layer of bullshit to keep them from doing the thing that they say they want to do.
100%. Yeah,
Right.
it's just like sometimes I think the answer is just speaking to somebody that has lived more. I was gonna
I
say older,
mean,
but there's people that are probably younger than me that lived more in many aspects too.
yeah, I think there's a reason why talking to people's fantastic, right?
Mm.
Like, you can talk like, here, man, like, and I not to plug Winter Strong, but I love it so much, man. Like, Winter Strong was the first place where I talked about this with you before. My idea of thought mapping came into play. The actual real live idea of thought mapping, because I looked at it and I would go, some of these dudes got roads I don't have. Some of these dudes have highways I don't have, and whatever. And so I talked to some buddies. Like, I got two or three buddies who own businesses that I talk to: Scott Volkortson, Don Verity, and Joe Riggio, and they all own successful businesses. And when you start talking to these guys about business, there are roads on their map I do not have, because they got 20, 30 years of business experience. They have from the ground up experience, from the reverse side, from this side. And I think that's one of the things that we're talking about. Your ability to just get out there, talk to people, and be like, hey, man, like, what do you know? And also, and I'm just harping on now. Now I'm harping, but I'll bring it back.
Nothing wrong with
Um,
that. Like, yeah, I brought the topic up, so
but like I think it's also falls into line with your ability to harness and say and look and know what good and bad information is, which is a skill that most of us are, not most of us, but a lot of people right now are sucking at, and AI and other things, and is killing us. It's whooping
Well, you know,
people's
it's not even,
ass.
I wouldn't even say it's AI. I just don't think a lot of people had to develop that skill because of the 9 to 5 job, the pensions on the way,
Well,
the
what I'm
golden
saying is
handcuffs. Like, yeah.
the reason why I will say it's AI is because you did not
Mm.
develop the skill, and now AI is being deployed in full scale. And so
Oh,
what's
okay. I understand
happened,
what you mean now. Okay.
and so people have not developed, like, right, like if you're a decently well-read person, you've been all over, you've seen and done things and so on and so forth. Something pops up on your social media or on TV, and you look at it and you go, "That's not right." I don't know why,
Hmm.
but that's not right. And so then you usually do the forethought of, let me look this up. Let me look this up several ways, right? And then you get to the, oh, this is bullshit, right? Versus somebody who sees it and goes, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Can't even interrogate the idea that this might be false or wrong or whatever, because they can't see it.
So to build on that, like, I agree with everything you're saying, but the next level of that is like, because there's so much information coming right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had this thought recently, like, okay, this information comes out. Is it actually going to affect my life in any way? Am I going to change how I live because of this information? Because like we don't have time to check every piece of information with AI and all the how much stuff being thrown at you now. So I put it through that filter as well now. I'm like, whatever the information is, am I changing my life and how I live my life and how I operate, how I'm going to invest for my future, how am I going to do things? If I'm not going to do that, then I might look it up if I have free time, if I remember. Otherwise, I disregard it completely.
I completely agree. Where I divert and kind of change course from you is because I'm constantly thinking about the lowest common denominator now,
Give
right?
me an example.
So there's a person among us who has read 0 books in the last 5 years, right? They've traveled nowhere. They believe everything they see on the internet, right? And
Oh,
these people are
do I know this
multiplying.
person?
No, no, I'm just using an example.
Okay.
The person I'm thinking of, you don't know, but there's a person in my life like this right now, right?
Mhm.
And I'm exaggerating the things, but whatever. Um, and this person is not a singleton. In fact, they're quite average.
Mhm.
And so I'm often looking to them to see what the people outside of my closest circles are doing, because the people in my
Mm.
closest circle don't fall into that framework. And so when I talk to this person,
Litmus test. Yeah.
yeah, well, they're my canary in a coal mine, to be complete.
Yeah.
That's what I call them.
Yeah.
Right. They're my canary in a coal mine. And so when I am out in the world and I'm looking and I'm watching and I'm seeing and I go, oh, okay. And then I go, well, how many of you are there? And then I go, fine. I'm like, okay, there's only 4. Like, cool, not a big deal.
Okay.
Because if there's 1,000, they will change my life.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah.
If there's just 4 of them, then it's like, who cares?
Mhm.
Like, you want to think the earth's flat, go think it's flat. I don't care. Right. Does not, it's like you said, it doesn't affect my pay, doesn't affect whatever, until it does.
Yeah, like, but that involves also, will it affect my family? So there's gonna be some extra thought into those things as well. Doesn't
Well,
affect me on these various various,
here's the problem.
yeah.
I would think if we were in 1970, I would agree with you 100% more. I still
Mhm.
agree with you, but I
Yeah.
think information and speed and things are moving so fast that you it's really hard to counter ignorance and stupidity. And I hate to say it like that, man, but like I finally had a friend and mentor tell me, he was like, Hansa, you spend way too much time trying to talk to stupid people to convince them to not be stupid. And I was like, well, I never wanted to say that because I don't think I'm the brightest bulb on the planet, right?
Mhm.
But when he said it and the way he kind of put it, and we were talking about some things, I was like, oh man, like it finally hit me.
Yeah.
Right. And
So
so,
now that he said that to you, being aware of it is different than talking and trying to convince people,
mhm.
right? So now you're more about just wanting to be aware than trying to convince. Is that what's to change here? Or is
Yeah,
that
I mean, I always want to be aware, and the only time I will try and convince now if it's a close friend of mine, because my thing is, and this is whether it's political, whether it's ethical, moral, whatever, whatever the thing is.
Mhm.
For the most part, I do have some hard and fast lines. So don't get me wrong. Like I have some hard and fast rules so that I have to disassociate with you as a human. Um,
Mhm.
but for the most part, like believe what you want, just don't be stupid about it. That's my rule. Like,
And don't drag me into it.
well, like even my thing is like you can drag me into anything you want, so long as you want the truth, and if I know it, right?
Understood.
If I
Okay,
don't
now
know
I
the
get what you
truth,
mean.
then like I won't comment on it, right? Like when certain things people bring it up, I'm like I'm out. I'm out. I got nothing here. But like if you bring me into this subject and I know what's up, like don't expect me to play along with your lie or your
Mhm.
silliness,
Okay.
right? Or your lack. Or
Yeah.
here's a better one: your lack of critical thinking. Because I'm not going to say I'm right, but I'm just going to say like, man, this
Mhm.
thought process doesn't work. It doesn't line up. That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah. Lack of critical thinking. It has to be kind of like freeing to live like that too. Just kind of
Well,
like if you think
I
about
mean,
it.
man,
You know what I'm saying? Like
you
the
know,
fun is with the
I
humor in
think
it.
there,
I find the humor in it.
yeah, I agree. I think there's like,
Yeah.
it's the ignorance is bliss, but it's also the thing we were talking about a couple weeks ago was like the most certain people are the most miserable, but they're
Mhm.
also the most like what you said right here. They're just certain. I know
Yeah.
I got this right,
Yep.
and like you said, they must be freeing in some aspects because I'm constantly going like, did I screw this up again?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, And then meanwhile, I
There's a
see
lesson to
somebody.
be learned there as well because like overanalyzing things is also a thing that probably you and me fall into a little bit at times, right?
So
So,
I I like to think that I don't overanalyze, but I definitely am. I think too deeply about everything.
okay, now you gotta say what the difference is between those 2 things,
Okay,
because to me,
overanalyzing
very, very
overanalyzing
similar.
is giving yourself. You're looking for every single minutia. You're looking for all the details. You want 100% here. Here's the way we say it in the military. You want 100% solution on time, right? That can be overanalyzing because I need the
Yeah.
solution now. This is the solution.
Mhm.
This is the timeline, right? And you need the solution now, and you need 100% is here.
Mhm.
So you've overanalyzed. You overshot your timeline, right? What I do is everything is deep. Everything's a lesson. Everything's I'm always like, well, what's the metaphor? You know what I mean? Like that's my go-to. So I don't overanalyze hardly anything because I'm like, it's got to get done.
Yeah, yeah.
85 an 80% solution with a go back to rate of
Yeah, I used to always
100%.
joke I was saying I always just said it to everybody, 70% go.
Yeah.
That's what I used to say
So
because the thing is, like, you don't even know what's gonna happen after you start. Like,
yeah.
so,
Yeah. That's why I said the military, the full military term or phrase or whatever you call it is
yeah.
uh, 100% solution late or 80% solution on time.
You know, I like that the reason why I enjoy these conversations because 'cause I've said these terms just out of the blue because like,
Hmm.
it come to my head, somebody's saying something, and I'm like, "No, 70% go." And what you're saying is just stuff I've come up with, so it's
It's
I like
validating.
that it's come from different angles, and it's the same truth.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that all truth though, right? Like when you really boil it down, like it's one of the things, like I said, I was going through meditations again a couple of months
Mhm.
ago. And one of the, one of the things that hits me is uh, I'm just learning the same truths over and over again. The same ones that he learned, the same ones that any dude learns if he actually pays attention and writes his thoughts down. Right.
Mhm.
If you wrote your thoughts down, you'd realize that you relearned your lesson in patience 5 times already. And you probably got to learn it 5 times more. Right.
Yeah.
And,
You kn
it, go ahead.
No, just I was just thinking like when you're saying that because like reading over books over and over again, and a lot of podcasts have been blowing up, and a lot of it is men speaking, right? I think like in my personal experience, guys always spoke to each other. I've never been around guys that didn't speak to each other. So we just talk. Like it
Mhm.
is what it is. I just think podcasts is capturing it because it was always happening with women not around.
Well, what do you mean? You mean just in general, like, or are you talking about like when people are like men don't talk?
Yeah, because like a lot of times in online spaces they say that men don't talk to each other, they're isolated to this. I'm like, and maybe again, I'm the center of my conversations with everybody. So this is from my point of view. When I talk to anybody, if there's something interesting, I just have a conversation. I dive into it. So I always have conversations like with anybody. So I've always had that. And I think podcast is like people now, like we're capturing this conversation. But if I was with you over dinner, I'd have the same conversation. If I was with you on a walk, I'd have the same conversation. So it's just we're capturing conversations that I generally normally have with other dudes.
Yeah. So what I think it is, kind of three parts, maybe four. We'll see how far I go. Um, One, you're a generally introspective guy, an interesting guy, so I think you attract interesting and introspective people who like to have those kind of conversations.
Hmm.
As a guy who rode on the skirts of some of the red pill content, all that other stuff, because I didn't understand it, so I wanted to understand it, and I went deep, and
I
I
watched a
didn't.
bunch of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, is I think that is what they are saying, but what they're actually saying is men don't have conversations of deep substance and vulnerability and thought, right? Um and I find that to be true depending on the circles,
Yeah, and that's true. Like
you know.
the other side of it is like if you're nervous and scared, you can still do the thing while being nervous and scared. Like if you're
100%,
depressed, you can do the thing depressed. You can do the thing sad. Do the
but
thing
most
tired.
most of these people, when it comes to these conversations, they are too afraid to violate whatever thing it is that they think that they hold true and dear, that's going to get them excommunicado out of the fucking tough guy group or whatever the thing is, right? um and
Mm,
so they don't do it. They do all this other stuff, and they never have the conversation about like vulnerability and feelings and fear and whatever, because everything to them is this bravado of I have to be a man, and a man has to fit this characteristic. Like I have a friend who is always talking about like men can't be vulnerable, or how bad the word vulnerability is, right? Like it's overused in today's society.
how does he
And
define it that he can't be vulnerable? How does he define it?
in short, I mean, kind of like the dictionary definition, right? Like it's the thing that will destroy you, right? And he says that like, well, too many men are vulnerable. Too many men are vulnerable online, and like, and so I vehemently disagree. Right. But what I tell people is, well, first, I'll tell you this. One of my favorite quotes of all time is from Salvador Dali. I'm a big Salvador Dali fan. And he says, "My madness is sacred. Do not touch it." And I think that this is the same thing for your vulnerability. My vulnerability is sacred. Do not touch it. And so I think men can and should be vulnerable. But I think also, if you've never seen $1,000 bill and you decide to give it to the first person you see on the street, you deserve everything you fucking get.
Mhm.
Right. Because that's what it
Yeah.
is. Vulnerability for men, if we talked about it like a currency, it's a bill that is rare,
Yes.
right? We don't just hand these bills over. I'll hand you a one, I'll hand you a five, I'll hand you 100. But this $1,000 bill, I only give these out for special days, right? Or special occasions or special people.
Would your friend say our conversation we're having here and we're recording it, we're putting it online? Is this vulnerable right here?
No, I don't think so. Um, I don't think he would just, but He also plays word games with it. I'll give him that. Like, I
Okay.
can't remember what was his word he replaced with vulnerability, but I
Okay.
think the actuality of it and the real reality of the whole thing is just that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's not okay to celebrate it as a man. That's what I think. And what I mean by that is it's kind of like the ADD people. I don't know if you ever seen them on Instagram. That they make their whole persona.
Personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's the same thing. Like, if you make your whole personality about being vulnerable and whatever else,
Yeah.
and like,
That's
well,
like the red
whatever.
pill community as well, like the
Yeah,
black pill
yeah,
community.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
and also like if you have a partner, a lover, girlfriend, wife, whatever, and you can't be vulnerable with them, like, what the fuck are you doing? like, that is like, and so like this whole concept, and
Doesn't sound
I
like a
bring that.
fun relationship anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that he kind of said, and like one of the things that he was talking about as far as vulnerability is concerned is like, you shouldn't be vulnerable with your man. You're not with your lady. You should tell her what's going on. And I'm like, so now you're just pretending. And now you wonder why you're stressed all the time. Right. And you wonder why, like, this person who you've entered into your life or has entered into your life, they can't be a part of it. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a sky is falling dude, then like maybe shut up. Right. Like if the sky is always falling, like,
Yeah.
right, like no one, you're not helping anyone. So 1,000%. But again, these are all different, right? The sky is falling versus, hey, I'm having a rough one. And
Mhm.
here's why.
Mhm.
It's a drastic difference between like you coming home every day and being like, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Again, like, yes, your lady probably doesn't want to hear that. But that's not being vulnerable. That's you catastrophizing and losing your shit.
Yeah.
And no one during any time of struggle and strife wants to hear how shitty it is. Like,
Mhm.
we all know we're all out here shoveling shit, bro. Like, you don't have to come in and be like, hey, did you know we were shoveling shit right now?
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my idea as far as that's concerned. I just think I get riled up with it, man, because the same men who will tell me or tell you that they want to fix men's mental health
Yeah.
will then go out and combat men for having a voice and communicating. And again, there are fine lines, right? There's a difference between saying the sky is falling and being vulnerable. There's a difference between understanding that you're having a bad day versus this is the worst day of your life, right? Like, you spilled coffee on yourself. Hell, you got into an accident. Bad day, bad day. Not the
Mhm.
worst day of your life.
Yeah,
You
frustrating at
know,
most.
you know. And so I think those things matter, but in terms of like the whole vulnerability thing, it's like you're allowed to be vulnerable, just don't celebrate it. And that's why I kind of stole the Dolly quote. It's like, my madness is sacred, my vulnerability is sacred. I have vulnerability and I will share it with you, but also I am a believer, just like the definition says. This is the thing that can destroy me, but this also segues into my belief about love. Right. Loving someone is giving them the keys to destroy you.
Yeah. That's been said in many different ways, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 1,000%, right? And so if I give you the keys to destroy me and I say I love you and I can't be vulnerable with you, what? This doesn't make sense to me, But again, like, I'm not gonna just walk out into the middle of the gym floor and start screaming out all my vulnerabilities.
Mhm.
That probably wouldn't be smart. You know, that would not be treating it as a sacred thing. And the last thing I'll say is I think this is also one of the reasons why you have to keep vulnerability into some sort of a container and not just this like public thing.
There's layers for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
but I think
different layers of access.
the reason why you is because it loses its potency. So when Boo calls me and it's 3 a.m. and he's jacked up and he's crying and he's upset, and he heard me tell the same story on 4 other podcasts, this means nothing to him. Right? And so part of the thing with vulnerability is it loses its potency, like if I'm doing it. And so I think that matters as well. I think that matters more than the whole, like, I'm afraid, like, no, it's like, I have these stories and these things and they matter, but they matter when they matter. I just can't be running around here throwing them out all willy nilly. Like, just, you get a little like,
Yeah,
no,
it's a key
man.
to a lock, right? So
Yeah. And I'm just a firm believer in the idea that, when terrible things happen to you, the bare minimum that you can get from them is the ability to help other people.
yeah, like the quote from Seneca, I think you quoted it before as well. Right before I read it, the in the bed beside you kind of thing. What was
Yeah.
it? The
Yeah.
sick or something? Yeah.
I'm but a sick man in a hospital bed trying to tell you about some relief I've gotten. Something like that.
Yeah. I have no
You
idea. I
know?
had it like saved in here somewhere, but yeah,
Yeah. It's a good one.
it is a
Hold
really
on.
good one.
Now I'm gonna see if I can find it.
I'm sure you can search it nice quicker than the book. So I have the book beside me right now. So
Almost.
I
Let's
would say
see.
like how we're just chatting like this. A lot of people might maybe they don't have conversations like this because I would say I'm okay with chatting like this. I'm okay to the point where I'm okay with making clips and putting it online at this point. So I guess there's a level of like being okay with yourself in various degrees of vulnerability where I don't think this is that vulnerable. I think this is
Well,
more
for
just
sure.
sharing, right? So, but somebody else might think it is.
I mean, that's a different thing. I think, you know, somebody's belief as far as vulnerability is concerned, like what's vulnerable to you and what's vulnerable to me can be completely different things. But I think that's also just a value judgment, right? But here's the other thing I wanted to say about vulnerability and just this whole thing and overall. And it's not just about vulnerability, but overall, I think one of the things that we miss when we talk about issues with men and women and people in general is that shame dies in the light, right? And the quicker you can get it into the light, the easier it becomes, and the more the more people go, "That's it? That's what you had?" You know, like
It's a
you're all
mountain in your
ashamed.
life, right? But not in
Yeah,
theirs,
you're
right?
ashamed, you're terrified, you're like, "Oh, man, like, this thing happened," and then you tell them and you're like, "That's it, bro?
Mhm.
Oh, cool. Like, okay." And if they don't, you just know where they stand, right? You just know where they stand, and it's not always fun, but man, I'm a big proponent of, like, knowing where people are in my life instead of knowing that, like, "Oh, they love me so much," and then they come to find out they don't. Like, oh, that's the worst. I don't want that in my life.
I
So,
don't even think, the second part of that even crosses my mind. I'm like, whatever they think is whatever they think. The only thing matters is, like, if they hate me, I guess, and they're still hanging out with me.
well, I don't think like that either. Well, what I do think is, it's none of my business.
Yeah, but
That's
that's
what I
basically what
think.
I'm getting at. The only time is my business, like, if you hate me and you're hanging out with me, that's kind of fairness. So, then
Yeah.
that's my business.
Yeah. Here, I found it for you.
Found it?
I'm a sick man in the hospital, merely relying. Oh, I said it wrong. Let me get this under me. Huh.
Clear your throat.
Yeah, there it goes. I'm a sick man in the hospital bed, merely relaying to the man on the bed next to me what medicines have relieved some discomfort. Yeah, I like that. I forgot about that one. Good call.
Yeah. Well, that one was, like, when I think you said it, and I was, like, on that chapter when you
Yeah,
said it. Like, "Oh, this is where it's from." I'm like, "Okay, yeah." So,
yeah. It's great.
and that's basically what with the PTSD, when I first went off work, a bunch of people reached out to me for help when they went off work. So I kind of guided them through the process.
Yeah.
And now I check in with them and they check in with me. And same thing, like you kind of get put in this role without even looking for it. So,
I think that's the whole thing, man. Like, I spend a lot of time with a lot of people going through a lot of problems
yeah,
and essentially being um an answer person for a lot of folks. And I'm completely okay with it, but it started because of that quote right there.
yeah.
I
And
needed relief.
it's easier to laugh with somebody else that gets it. Because you can find the irony in it, and you're like, just you. Where with other people, it's like serious, but then with you, you're laughing, right?
But yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I think that's like very important because it's that
here's a
the
tale.
bond over something. What?
No, here's a tale out of school. It's not my tale, but I'm gonna tell it anyways.
Okay, okay,
So my father was a Vietnam vet. He was a tunnel rat, right? And so if you don't know what a tunnel rat is, I'll invite you to look that up. But it's hardcore.
okay,
Some hardcore
okay.
stuff, really, really. My dad is probably the most well-adjusted, content man you'll ever meet. And you would not know that he was a tunnel rat in Vietnam. I asked him two questions, I think. I'm not gonna say it was part of the same conversation, but this is what I remember about both of these things. I said, like, why'd you stay in the military for just 28 years? And then I asked him, like, well, how come you're so well adjusted essentially for being in Vietnam as bad as people said it was? And he goes, when I came home on leave from Vietnam, I remember trying to have a conversation with somebody and they couldn't register what I was talking about. And he was like, at that moment, I realized I needed to stay my ass in the military where I could talk to people
yeah.
who understood what I was going through.
Hmm.
And I think that's what you're hitting at right there. Is like the ability for me to have these conversations with other people who understand and have dark humor or understand irony or understand, whatever. It's like I had this line I wrote in an article or whatever once, and I was like, I've had conversations with killers. To the normal person, it probably just sounds like a little line or whatever. But to me, it's like,
Yeah, something cool.
yeah, yeah. But to me, it's like when you have spoken to other people who have been there, done that, there's such a shared insight
And there's
that
so many things you don't have to say. There's a
that's
look,
what I mean.
there's a
We're
tone.
speaking the same language, man.
The
It's like the same.
emptiness is yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing for so many categories, right? And it sucks because in 2026 there's this thing where it's like if you tell somebody you have to have the experience to be able to talk about it, people get all mad and frazzled, right? And I get it, man. But at the same time, you can read 1,000 books about it, but that doesn't mean you truly get it. Like, right? And I hate to use this corny wording, but it's the only one it's like you understand versus overstand. Not a real word. Got it. But it's like you understand, you read the book and you get it. You see it, right? But if you overstand, you know what it smells like, you know what it tastes like. You know which way the wind blows when you come out of the thing. You know why the door slams hard. You know when if the doors don't slam hard, that means something different to you. You know if the sand crunches or if it's puffy. All these things mean a completely different thing to you if you overstand versus somebody who's just like, yeah, I read the book and I get it. And you're like, oof, brother,
Yeah. And you
when
know
I
what?
get on.
I like to just expand that to other things as well because it's not just first responders, military. If you are in a startup world and you worked days and nights getting your tech off the ground from the ground up, coding this, that, there is a shared bond that people in that would have this exact same experience where
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to somebody else in there. So yeah, I want to make sure I just want, cause some people, when you share this, they think, oh, well, I'm not like you, so it doesn't apply to me. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just trying to
exactly.
expand that a little bit there. So
Yeah, it's the same reason why, like, so I don't remember. Oh, it's called The Hard Things About Hard Things. It's a book I read about
hmm
some tech startups, right?
hmm
And as I'm reading the book, I'm having that same experience. I understand,
yeah, you don't overstand.
but I don't understand. I don't get this. I don't know what it's like to lose $6 million because of a signature, right? I know what it's like to manage a bunch of people, and so I
hmm
get that part of it. But I don't
Yeah.
understand what it's like to have that oversight, that mistake cost you money, tangible money, you know? So I think it's always worth saying, man, but it's just hard because in today's day and age, a lot of people will really upset if you tell them, like, have you been? And they'll be like, "Ugh, so I have to go to understand. And it's like, it's not that you have to go to
My
understand.
response would actually be like, unfortunately, well, no, fortunately, yes, because you didn't have to go.
Well, mine is, it's not that you have to go to understand. It's just that nuance and context matters,
hmm
right? And there's so much nuance and context that you lose in things like this, right? You can be the best author on the planet, and it's just so hard to convey certain things that are just inherent in people, culture, environment, you name it, right? Data, right? Data to me, as a guy who deals with data for work, and data to an Orsa whose education is all data, means two different things than it does to this guy who just is like, I like looking at Twitter. And I'm like, I'm not going to fault you, because shit happens and people find things all the time. Guys that, you know what I mean? Guys that are not trained in things find things that others who are trained in find some. It's more anomalous, but it happens, right?
hmm
But at the same time, this guy sees something, I see something different than you'll see. Our questions will be different. And that doesn't mean your questions aren't valid. Like, I used to bring this really junior analyst with me to all my meetings because she had never, she didn't have a chance to be corrupted and changed and, you know, institutionalized. And so I would bring her to all the meetings because she had different questions.
Yes.
And so when I would bring her to these meetings, she would throw like a question at me and I'd be like, it's a good, I fucking hadn't considered it, because I've been doing it for 20 years. So I never once stopped to consider it because that's just normal,
That's why they
you
bring
know?
outside consultants in so many things, right? In so many industries, right? Outside
Uh,
consultants.
yeah, yeah. But it to remember that for some people takes a lot. I'll get ready to land this thing. I don't know if you had anything you want to wrap it up with.
I have one that's a little more lighthearted.
What's up? Parting thoughts.
So the we talked about how we like shiny objects.
Hmm.
And I wrote the topic was, how do you categorize the shiny objects you like? Is it straightforward? Like, for me, it comes down to how wide or narrow the interest is how how I will pursue it. Does that
Hmm.
make sense to you or no?
No, no, say it again. Say it a different way.
So if there's something that's a shiny object and I just in general just am interested in it, then I become a
Hmm.
generalist and I go very wide with it. Like I
Okay,
want to
okay.
know these things about it, because like all these shiny objects when we talked about before, we don't pursue each shiny object the same.
Hmm.
Right? So if it's something that's very specific niche in the shiny object, I might start off general, but I'm like, I don't care about this. I'm only going to focus on this. And that's when you get like hyper focused and you become like maybe a more of an obsession, right? At
Hmm.
times. And that's how I look at shiny objects. And I was curious your approach to it because you said you like shiny objects as well. And
Mm.
that's kind of how I differentiate, because there's a lot of shiny objects. And I will, if it's a shiny object, I'm gonna pursue it to a degree, and how I pursue it depends on how narrow that, like, niche is in the shiny object, I guess.
No, so I get it. Wow. So I'm gonna do two. From a business perspective, the way I look at everything is if it's in the same silo, I do it. Right?
Mhm.
Meaning like if my silo right now is writing and speaking. So if anything goes in the writing and speaking silo, I'll mess with it. If it's outside of that and it takes a considerable amount of effort to learn, I look at how I can compress it and
Mhm.
I'll mess with it.
Mhm.
But if it's something that takes a considerable effort to learn, then I probably won't go there.
Yeah.
Right?
So you become,
Now,
like, just aware of it, and then you don't
aware
go
of
yeah.
it, aware of it, and what I tend to do is I tend to find experts and people that really dig it and just hack off of them. Right? I think that's the easiest and best thing to do.
Leverage their
For my
knowledge.
per Yeah, yeah, and for my personal life and just things, man, I just dive in. I dive in with the free time I have,
Yeah.
and then I go deep, and then it just depends on what it is and how much it satisfies my curiosity. Like the past month, I've been teaching myself about rhetoric, and so just kind of trying to learn more about what that actually looks like, along with logical fallacies and things like that,
Mhm.
because everything we're hearing in I mean, including marketing, right? Politics, marketing, everything is rhetoric right now. Move fast and break things. How much can I repeat this saying in a different fashion and shame you for it or not shame you for it or have the shame built into the message or whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
And so I like identifying it because you can also craft a better response and you also have much more knowledge on what's happening to you. So that's the kind of the one now. A lot of writing stuff. I've been reading a lot of books about writing. I've been experimenting with authors that are not normally in my wheelhouse.
Have you,
Mm,
heard of Dan Coe?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, like him. Yep,
So, I did the 2-hour writer thing that he did, and it actually helped me capture thoughts better, how he approached it, and then I mixed it with, the book I forget the guy's name, something Diago, Your Second Brain.
I don't know that one. Okay, I'll have to
Yeah,
check that
I'll
out.
I'll find no, you know what? Let me just find it right now, the name, so I can just say it.
Yeah,
Sorry, not Diago. It's, by Tiago Forte, Building a Second Brain, a proven method to organize your digital life, but it's a proven method just to capture your thoughts, basically. So, I
I
started off
like
with
that.
his approach, and then I kind of just took his thoughts capturing aspect of it. I don't organize like he does because that's how he lives. He organizes everything through that. But how he captures his thoughts. Now I have a button on my phone that takes me to a notes thing where I have like 100 plus, 200 plus notes of things that I can write on. So
I like that. I like
yeah,
that a lot. I like that a lot. Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
You'll enjoy that one if you like, and that's where I'm hoping the AI thing I want to build. I'm hoping I can turn it into like an assistant to capture thoughts, basically. So.
I get that. Yeah, that's cool. Um, I think the only time I really filter them out is if they're distractors on the big thing. And to be completely honest with you, that's been more like the last 5 months. Um,
Hmm.
because I got away from it. That's as simple as that. I got away from it and I realized I was like, you have too much and you need less. But when I go in, I go in. I just go deep, man. Like
I think
there's
there's
no
something to be
filter.
said about having limited time, though. Like having limited time makes it a lot easier to figure out what's more important.
Yeah, I think that it's that, but it's also like for me, I mean, it's the same, I guess, but I'm really stuck on this phrase and I'm gonna butcher it, but it's at the end of the day, it's the same. That's he who controls his focus controls his future or his destiny or whatever it is. And so the thing that I'm always talking about, and it's like one of the first start conversations I had as a mentor was there's two ways to make a vehicle go faster, right? More horsepower, bigger engine, less weight. I'm not getting any more horsepower.
You know what?
I wish.
Everything comes back. A lot of our conversation comes back to subtraction. So
It does. It does.
yeah,
I'm painfully aware of it, because I realize like how much like, even if we just look at it like this, if you look at all the people that people admire, and I'm not saying you have to admire them or like them or whatever else, but
Mhm.
if you look at them and how they built whatever it is they built, almost all of them built it with a relentless, ruthless, singular focus to the thing.
Yeah. Singular pursuit.
Yep. They weren't doing 12 things. They were doing one, maybe two. That's it. And I know that to be true for my former life, you know, but then,
Yeah.
yeah, I got out and I wanted to experience more of life. And then as I experienced more of life, I was like, oh, well, I'd also like to get these things done. And it's like, well, you can get them done in 5 years or you can get them done in 1 year, but you got to pick how focused you're going to be on them.
Yeah. Subtraction. I think that was like probably one of the first conversations we've had.
Mhm.
That's rung through for 'cause I kept just saying spinning plates, right? Same thing. The less it's nice to be at this point because back then there was too many things in the pile that I was subtracting because I wasn't disregarding because like I had responsibilities. So it's like I was completing tasks, but I just wasn't adding back to a plate.
Yeah.
And it just took a little bit longer because you have responsibilities. You can't just run away from them either. You're like, okay, I finished this. I'm not going to add something back in this empty slot now. I finished this. I'm not going to add something back. And then over time, I was looking for things to complete. And I'm like, oh, now I can actually put energy into things I want now. And it is very freeing. I like it. It's just nice to
Yeah.
be back here because with work and with everything else beforehand before the PTSD, I was in a constrained time frame of my free time that it was very easy to, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that, can't do that. And then I had all this free time while I'm figuring out the PTSD. So I was adding too much to my plate. And then I'm like, okay, I gotta get back to what worked. So
Yeah.
I know it worked. I experienced it, and it wasn't like it was just it wasn't it wasn't building a new car. It was just like just looking at why that old car worked.
Yep. I get it. I get it. The one I'll say before we leave is I've been looking at income, huh? Inputs versus outputs,
Yes.
right? How many inputs do I have and what comes out of it? And if nothing comes out of it, then it probably has to be reevaluated. Right. And it's not on some like everything must be optimized. I'm not an optimizer. I'm not one of those dudes, but I just, if you have finite time, man, you got to take finite actions, especially for some of these games. Cause some of these games, although I'm talking finite, 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 they're infinite games. They never end. The only thing to do is to keep playing them. So,
Time for any human is finite. Time might be infinite, but it's for us is finite. So
yeah, that's what I mean. But I mean, so the goal is to play an infinite game
actually,
with a finite amount of
you
time.
know what? A friend of mine basically wrote a quote or wrote something about that, and he wrote like I'm gonna butcher it really badly, but he's like, everything comes down to time, but it's infinite, but at the same time, we're always rushed to everything like it's finite. It's like very interesting, like take how you had on that. So, but yeah, I think that's a good place to end it.
All right, man. I love it. I'll
Perfect.
see you soon.
Yeah. See you next week, and we'll chat in between. All right, man.